Hi, and welcome to Old Time Knowledge, and welcome to this special collaboration that was set up by Luann from Heartfilled Kitchen. I was so excited to be invited to this, but it's a Christmas cookie exchange. So there are going to be several of us who are going to be contributing some of our favorite Christmas cookies to this, and you can check the playlist, which I will be linking below. There are going to be prizes. You don't want to miss it. Please stay tuned because I've got 3 great recipes for you for really good Christmas cookies. Stick with me and we'll get right to it. All right, the first recipe is without a doubt my favorite cookie of all time. These are classic old-fashioned oatmeal cookies. This particular oatmeal cookie recipe was the recipe, if I remember correctly, that used to be inside the lid of the Quaker Oats. I'm going to speed things up to take you through the steps since we're making 3 cookies. But these days, I think they have an oatmeal raisin cookie recipe in the lid. It's not the same, y'all. It's just not the same. This is the one you want. This one is so good. Now, first things first, you're going to use a cup of softened butter. So that's 2 sticks. And here's where I'm going to speed things up. Okay, so after you've got your 2 softened sticks of butter in there, you're going to be adding your sugar. It's going to call for 2 kinds of sugar. You're going to use white sugar and brown sugar. If you don't have both, it's not the end of the world, but it's really best if you use white sugar and brown sugar. You're going to do 3/4 of a cup of each kind of sugar. I'm just using a 1/4 cup measuring cup right there. And for your brown sugar, you want it to be packed. Sorry about that. And another thing you can do is you can use just a 1.5 cups of white sugar and then add like a tablespoon of molasses, and that'll be fine. But again, 3/4 cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Okay, and then once you've got the sugar and the butter in there, you're going to go ahead and just cream these together with your mixer. And let me shift this around so that you can see better. So you're just going to use your mixer and get the sugar and the butter creamed together really, really well. And once this is all creamed together, then that's when you're going to add in the rest of your ingredients. And we will do that momentarily. All right, so here's the point where I need to add an egg. And y'all, I'm just going to tell you, I totally dropped that shell in there. Oh, that makes me so sad. If you drop an eggshell in your cookie dough, don't eat your dough. Like, they say you shouldn't eat it anyway, but especially if you drop a shell in there, don't eat it, just because the shell is apparently where the salmonella lives, if it's there. So anyway, I did try to cover it up with some vanilla, which is my homemade vanilla made from 100 proof vodka, and mix it in really good. But y'all, you just don't really want to eat cookie dough if it's had an eggshell drop in it. I did get the eggshell out, obviously, but let's just move on. So it got a teaspoon of vanilla. It gets a 1/4 cup of water. Y'all, this is real life. I'm just recording a video. I'm just making cookies, and I'm not trying to make this totally perfect because who of us are all perfect in our kitchens? Okay, I just added a 1.5 cups of flour. Now I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then it's going to be time to mix all this together again. And then the last thing we're going to add is going to be the oatmeal. Now, some of you are going to say, where's the cinnamon? Because people always ask that question. You can totally add cinnamon if you want. We don't like cinnamon in our oatmeal cookies. I have cinnamon in another cookie recipe that's in this video, but not this one. If you want to add cinnamon, you can add like a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. That'll probably be just fine. But this is just straight up classic oatmeal cookies, all right? So now that I have that all mixed together, I'm putting in 3 cups of oatmeal, and I'm going to mix this together some more, and then comes a very important step. A lot of people miss this step, but you got to do it. Okay, but let me mix this up real quick, and then we'll get to that important step. And this particular oatmeal I'm using is not the Quaker Oats. It is like old-fashioned oats, so it's not like, it's rolled oats. It's not the quick oats, but this is actually Bob's Red Mill. I'll link to those below, but I really like those in case you don't have them near you. But they're just a really good thick oat. So now is the important part. This is so important. You need some wax paper ideally. I mean, I'm sure you can use other things, but I use wax paper because you're going to be refrigerating this dough. This is important. at least for the way I like them. I mean, you can skip it, but I like these cookies to be like in a roll and in the refrigerator and to get nice and cold so you can slice them and then you put them on a baking sheet once they've gotten good and cold, and they bake out really nice and they are crispy and they're so good for dunking in milk. They are amazing, y'all. I'm just telling you. So all I'm going to do here is just get this oatmeal on these sheets of wax paper. I'm going to get them rolled up nice. Doesn't matter how pretty this looks because this is, again, this is just going to get rolled up and put in my refrigerator. I'm going to speed this up for you. And refrigerate them for a while, probably a couple of hours, and then I'll bring them back and slice some and bake them and show you how they come out. All right, so as you can see here, I have filled this cookie sheet with cookie dough that's been refrigerated for a couple of hours. I'm putting it in a 350-degree oven for about 12 to 13 minutes. Just keep an eye on the cookies, and when they look nice and brown to your liking, you take them out, okay? That's all there is to it. Okay, and so when you do take them out of the oven, you want to get them transferred to a little cooling rack if you have one. It's not absolutely necessary, but it will help that crispiness happen. That's important to me for these kinds of cookies. So I'm just taking them immediately off of this cookie sheet and I'm putting them right on this little wire rack so that they can cool. And then I'm going to be enjoying, my son just came and snagged one, y'all. And then I bet you he's going to snag another one. Anyway, we love these cookies so much. These are so good to dunk in milk. These are good for breakfast. These are good anytime, but definitely make these oatmeal cookies for Christmas, y'all. The next recipe is going to be a no-bake cookie called church windows. So we will get right to that one. All right, this one could not be easier. This is just going to require chocolate chip cookies, a bag of marshmallows, ideally the colorful ones because that's why it's church windows, because it's supposed to look kind of like stained glass, and then butter. Now there are variations where you can add coconut, you can add nuts to it. I'm just keeping it simple, y'all. You add what you want to add to it. So you're just going to melt a stick of butter just in a pot on your stove and 2 cups of chocolate chips. And you're going to melt this until it's totally smooth, totally shiny, and then you move on to the next step. I mean, it really couldn't be easier. Some people definitely like to melt their chocolate chips in the microwave. I just have always done it this way, so it's just the way I do it. But the point is you're melting your chocolate chips with the butter together, and then once they're all melted and once it's all ready to go, then you're going to add the marshmallows. I'll show you. And you see I'm just stirring this and stirring this and stirring this. I don't want any of this chocolate mixture to stick to the bottom of the pot. And yes, this is sped up, but I think you'll still be able to get an idea of what it's supposed to look like when it's melted enough. And I'll take it off the heat and show you. It's almost there. Okay, there we go. So you see how it's kind of a little bit glossy? That's what you want. So now I'm going to take those marshmallows and add them in, and I'm just going to stir it around and just get those mixed in. And once this is all mixed in really good, then guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be rolling this up, just like I did the oatmeal cookie dough, to put it in the refrigerator. This time I don't have wax paper. I'm just using some parchment paper. And one thing I wanted to mention, as you can see, I didn't stir the marshmallows in to get them to like dissolve in. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your marshmallows so that they're whole and they're visible in the chocolate mixture. And I'm just putting this in this parchment paper just like I did with the wax paper with the oatmeal cookies. And this is just to put it in the refrigerator to let it get formed into nice little logs of this delicious church window cookie. Or some people might call it a candy, but it could either way. It's either like a no-bake cookie or like a candy. So once I get all this on this paper, I'll get it in the refrigerator, and then I will bring you back once it's done and show you how it looks when we slice it up. And y'all, this is so good. Now, I will say this is one of those things that once it is set and ready, I normally keep it in the refrigerator, but you can leave it. You can totally leave it out when you're going to enjoy it, but once you take it out of the refrigerator, it might not stay super firm. It might start softening up a little. It shouldn't. It should still stay kind of firm, but with the marshmallows and everything, look at that. Look at how cute that is, y'all. See those it's like little church windows, like little stained glass. It's just such a pretty little thing, and having it all on a plate like this, and it's just yummy. It's really yummy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get another roll out so that I can finish adding to this plate. Oh, when my son sees that I've made these, y'all, and no, I did not make these on the same day as the oatmeal cookies. I would not do that. We would be big as a house if I made all the cookies I know how to make on the same day. Anyway, but he loves these. I love these. My mom made these when I was growing up. This is just a Christmas tradition, but really you can make them anytime. And they are so good. Oh, they're so good. I just can't tell you how good they are. Okay, and now I'm going to move on and show you how to make the ginger molasses cookies. All right, this recipe is from a cookbook. Well, it's actually an activity and cookbook that I bought ages ago. It's out of print now, but it's called the Holly Pond Hill Christmas Treasury. And it's actually called Gingerbread Bunnies, but it's really a molasses ginger cookie or a ginger molasses cookie, however you want to say it. This is a really good recipe, great for cutouts, so let's get to it. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need is a stick of softened butter. So I have a stick of butter that's already softened right here. Next is going to get a half a cup of brown sugar, packed brown sugar, the light brown sugar, not dark, because you're also using molasses. It'll be kind of strong probably if you use dark brown sugar. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just get this mixed together, get the butter and the brown sugar cream together. Just to get that all mixed in really good. And then it's going to get 3/4 of a cup of molasses. I was holding a half cup there and it threw me. So it's a 3/4 cup of molasses. There's a trick I had totally forgot. You can actually spray the inside of a measuring cup with like some Pam or something before you pour this out, and it'll pour out much easier. I just forgot. All right, then it gets an egg. I'm going to mix this all together. And then after this, that's when I'll start adding the dry ingredients. So this one doesn't call for vanilla or anything. You certainly could add it if you wanted to. But this gets all of its flavor from the molasses and the brown sugar and all the spices and things that go in it. So it's going to get 3 cups of flour. It's going to get a half a teaspoon of baking soda. It's going to get 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, which I just added. Now it's going to get a teaspoon each of cinnamon and ginger. And then it's going to get a half a teaspoon each of ground cloves and ground nutmeg. And the spices I'm adding are just now getting caught up to what I was just saying. So again, it's a teaspoon of ground ginger, a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon each of ground cloves and ground nutmeg. Then that's it. Now I'm going to get this all mixed up really good, and once it's going to take a minute or two for it to get all to come together really nice. And when it does, it's going to be a thick dough. And you're not going to want to just bake it right away. I mean, you could, but really this is meant to be a cookie dough that you refrigerate and then roll out and then use cookie cutters. The recipe in the cookbook says bunnies, right? I don't have a bunny cookie cutter. My son's kind of old for that anyway, so I'm just going to refrigerate the dough and then use a regular round cookie cutter when I make these. I thought I had some gingerbread cookie cutters, y'all, but I don't have any of those little gingerbread men anymore. So it is what it is. It is what it is. It's still going to be fine. I can make them look really nice with some pretty sugar on top, which I will show you. But let me get this in the refrigerator and I'll bring you back when it's ready to roll out. All right, I'm just going to tell you right now, y'all, I am notoriously impatient when it comes to letting things wait long enough. A lot of times I just don't. And I probably should have let this cookie dough refrigerate longer. I only let it refrigerate for probably about an hour. You really want probably 2 or 3, 4 hours, something like that, just to get it really nice and cold and really firm. I didn't, but it works out fine. I'm just showing you because if any of you are impatient like me, you'll be able to relate, and the rest of you just shake your heads, go, and you know, that whole thing. Anyway, so I'm just rolling this out to about 1/4 of an inch thickness, and then I'm going to get some cookies cut out with just these plain little circle cookie cutters. I love this set of cookie cutters. I use this. There's so many different sizes in this little tin I have. I also use it for biscuits. I'll link to in the description below to this cookie cutter set, but I love these. I've had them for years and they're so good. So I'm just going to cut these out until I get this baking sheet filled up with cookie dough, and then I'm going to be putting some decorative sugar on top. You know, a lot of times when you make molasses cookies, you'll have some kind of sugar topping or whatever. You can use that, like sugar in the raw. You can use decorative sugars, whatever. But in this case, I've got these cupcake sprinkles, and they're really cute. They're kind of pearlescent. They're just a nice color. I think will show up really nicely on this molasses cookie background. Let me finish getting these on the tray. We'll get them topped with sugar and get them in the oven, and then I will show you how they come out when they are done. Okay, I am determined to get like a couple more cookies out of this dough because I see that I can. And remember, I still have a lot of dough in my refrigerator. This is just part of the dough that was made. I'm just moving things around, and I'll get those ones that I cut out over there. And if I have to, I will press some dough down into the cookie cutter to get a nice little thick round shape in there. There we go. And I'll just find a place for it and put it right there and bake it right along with the rest of them. So here is that cupcake sugar. You look at that. It's beautiful. It's like really white and pearlescent on top of these molasses cookies. I'm just going to pat the tops of each of them to kind of get the sugar to stick into the dough. Bake it for about 8 or 9 minutes, and then they are done. And here we go. I'm going to take them out of the oven now and show them to you. Look at there. Oh, they look pretty. That with that little white sugar on top, it looks like snow. It's so cute. I'm putting them on the cookie sheet to cool. Y'all, I hope that you'll try all these different recipes. I can't wait to try the different ones in this whole cookie exchange. This is going to be so much fun, and I love cookies. So now I'm going to transfer them, now that they've cooled a bit, to this nice little plate that I got. Y'all, I got this plate from Dollar Tree, and I got the little poinsettia placemat from Dollar Tree. This just looks pretty. I thought it would make a nice background for the picture that I'm going to take for the thumbnail. Look at there, y'all. Look at how pretty they are. I am so thankful to Luann for inviting me to be part of this Christmas cookie exchange collaboration. Be sure and check out all the other videos. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Lots of great ladies, lots of great recipes. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to hear from you in the comments below. I'll see you again soon, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas season. I'll also link to my holiday playlist below. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.